Everyone, today is the day we get new cards, and if leaks are to be believed, we are to get the Borreload cards, which I'm actually really looking forward to. So let's get into it. Right, get excited for new art type Gacha Volume 6. Borreload Dragon. Oh, and Power Tool Dragon. Which is totally not from Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns. Oh, Sky Strikers and Imperial Order. And Blastfair. Oh, these should be some interesting cards to look at. Alright, let's take a look at these cards. I've been waiting for more Link monsters as well. And this is, yep, Link 4. Master Skill. After destroying an opponent's monster in battle, gain all of the destroyed opponent's monster common skills and 2 attack buff. So the attack buff will basically make it go up by 400 each time. Oh, it looks like it has a new common skill, Equip. If this monster gains skills, it gains 200 attack and defense for each skill gained. Okay. Okay, I mean, in ranked, this is really, really good in, obviously, tag duel. Or if you're playing like unrestricted, with other people. In ranked, unless this is killing an ace monster, this is just going to mean a 200 attack and defense buff. I think attack buff is probably just going to be better because you get the attack buff before killing the monster rather than after killing the monster. But, I don't know, you might want to have this in just in case you throw this in front of an ace monster. So, the Master you get 2 attack buff, the Special you don't get the attack buff. I'm trying to think how much the attack buff is really going to be worth it. Ideally you put this in front of, ideally you summon this in front of an opponent's monster that has already had its attack reduced. And then it gets the, the 400 buff from this. It hits something else, it goes up to, maybe it's lost a bit from then, but, it hits something else, it goes back up to maybe 3,000. And that puts it down to, 1,600, maybe after gaining back its attack. So, yeah, if you put it in front of, like, a weaker monster, it could potentially grow to be very powerful. I'm not sure it's as good as, like, Utopia, though, for example. But, yeah, and I'm not... we'll have to see what the other cards are, right? Maybe the other cards synergize with this and make it better. I think it's fine as is. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's, like, great either. We'll have to see what other cards synergize with it. Because, yeah, if you do give it enough attack buffs, it could just become unstoppable. And, you have to end up killing it by magic and trap. And that is what I'm thinking is making this card at least decent. But it's like, if you're playing a Link deck... would you rather have this in as your ace, or would you rather have Firewall Dragon in as your ace? That's the question. And I feel like Firewall just offers a lot more because its Master Skill was going to bounce a card and almost guarantee you that 2,500 damage. But let's have a look at the other cards first. So we have Power Tool, which is a synchro where you need level 7. When summoned, add 1 double tool C&D and 1 rocket pilder to your hand. So what are these? Select 1 monster and it gains Seal and Provoke. So I guess you can give this to your Power Tool potentially, or whatever other monster you have, which is essentially going to put that, whatever it attacks into attack mode. In fact, you can use this, you can actually summon this if you've got a monster that's already like about to, hit your opponent's like defense monster. You can summon this, give that monster the Provoke and the Seal. So yeah, this one actually not bad. Set 1 monster and it gains 2 attack debuff. And again, you could give this to your Borreload that we just saw, which would definitely help it survive. So yeah, overall not bad. I like the versatility in this card. What's its special though? So its special is you just add 1 of the C&D, which is the Provoke. It also has, if this monster gains skills, it gains 200 attack and defense. So I guess that kind of synergizes with this, where you could play these cards on, you could play both of these on Power Tool, that it would gain 4 skills, and so essentially if it had this, it would gain 800 attack and defense. Not bad, not bad. 2 monsters, basically buffing this up to 3000 with Seal, Provoke, and double attack debuff, which is really not bad, actually, when you come to think about it. Not to mention it has the versatility that you can use these cards on other monsters if, you know, you think it's going to be better at the time. If you're playing a Inventor deck as well, and you just have Inventor and one of these on, it will, you know, once you've played 3 Inventors, you get 2 skills. So Inventor will buff it up by 400 if you have this and then this on as well. So yeah, not bad, not bad. So Auto Rocket Dragon, when summoned, gains hyperspeed if you have a Link monster. Ooh, that doesn't seem bad. That seems pretty alright, actually. But yeah, just summon this and be able to give it hyperspeed. Obviously you have to work out when you're going to do it, but yeah, really not bad. Another one, when summoned, gains 2 snipe if you have a Link monster. So again, I think this synergizes mostly with the snipe deck. It's got good stats to go in the snipe deck, and if you have your snipe monster out, the ultra rare, this is not just going to gain 2. This is not just going to do 400. It's going to do, I believe, doesn't it increase snipe by an extra 100? So it's going to do like 600, or does it do 200 to everyone? I forget now. But yeah, still very, very good for the Link deck. It is a dragon as well, so when dragons do become a thing, this could definitely be a decent card just for its stats, really. And you know what? Double snipe in a Link deck is not terrible. There are definitely times when, you know, you are close in life points to someone who is either in second or first place, and double snipe could just make the difference. Not to mention, again, it's got good stats as well. Doesn't actually have like a Link arrow, funnily enough. I was kind of expecting more monsters with Link arrows. Oh, it's actually got Inventor. Oh, so this would actually be a really good card in the Inventor deck. Premium stats with Inventor. Yeah, this will be a good card. Definitely a very good card in the Inventor deck. Definitely a card that's going to fit in like multiple decks, I think, as well. Morphtronic Boomboxen. Stats are kind of When super rare, when summoned, set 1 attack position monster and change it to defense mode. So basically it is a stop attack with a body, which is okay. The thing about stop attack is that you keep it in your hand and you play it, you know, you don't know what your opponent's going to play, so you kind of play it when it's needed. This is still right, because, you know, you can still play it on a monster that is sitting in like, you know, the middle of the lane that you want to attack. You know, I kind of like think of Celtic Guardian when I think of this, where Celtic Guardian is just a 1400 with Intimidate. Intimidate is going to set the monster to defense mode, although this has the added bonus that you don't have to send this monster against the one that's going to get swapped to defense mode. But yeah, it's okay. I'm not sure it's going to see play, although it is a machine, right? And we do know that the machine deck does lack machines, so this would definitely help. It also has Equip, right? And I'm thinking, you give this to, you know, the XYZ Dragon Cannon, which gains all of the common skills. If it gains this skill, is it then going to buff itself up with all of the other skills it gains? That's a, you know, interesting one we might have to find out as well. So yeah, could see some play. Sky Striker Ace, Shizuku. When summoned, select 1 monster. It loses... Oh, it's Link monster as well. It loses 500 attack and defense for each spell in the graveyard. Ooh, okay. It has this... Oh, it has Reincarnation as well. You know, this could just be a good 1500, you know, like Gagaga. This could be just a good 1500 with Reincarnation. As it stands, though, it is a 1 sacrifice that you have to have spell cards in the graveyard. Most decks are going to play 2, maybe 3 spells. So, yeah, I'm not sure this is going to fit into every deck, especially just, you know, like a standard Link deck as well. Just because it's Link 1 ability, like, you know, I would probably rather have in Link Karibo than this. Yeah, I mean, I think this would go really, really well, obviously, in, like, a dark, a dark magician deck or a wizardry deck or something like that. But yeah, as it stands, I'm not sure this is going to be great. Like, I don't know. I think if you had 2 spells in the graveyard, it would be good, right? Because 2 spells in the graveyard, the monster's going to lose 1,000 attack and defense. Kind of think about it. Actually, we actually have seen a couple monsters that do generate spells. There's the Abyss Actor, which generates like 2 spell cards if it's your ace at the end of every turn. And, the Abyss cards, there's one of them which you summon, it generates like spells. We have Borreload Dragon in this set, which generates spells. So, yeah, this will definitely be good in those decks. In decks that have Borreload in, that have Abyss Actor in. But if it's just like a standard, like normal deck, which is only running like 2 spells, 2 or 3 spells, doesn't have a way of generating spells, this is probably not worth having in, but very good in those other decks. Book of Taiyu. Set 1 monster, it gains Provoke until the end of the turn and 400 attack. So this is kind of like Fairy Meteor Crush. Fairy Meteor Crush gave something Pierce and 400 attack until the end of the turn. This is basically just giving the kind of opposite skill, Provoke and 400 attack. I'm not sure you're having both. I think you would probably just have in one or the other, potentially. But yeah, still decent spell card if you don't have Fairy Meteor Crush. Set 1 monster in your graveyard and special summon it. It gains Collapse and Phantom. Okay, so this is basically purely, I'm going to special summon this monster and it is going to protect me against something this turn because it's going to die at the end of the turn. I would need to look at what other monsters there are that have good on-summon skills. Now, initially I'm thinking Dark Magician Girl, because when that's summoned, you get to special summon a monster of wizardry from your graveyard. But yeah, so I think, bring back a powerful monster. If it has a good on-summon skill, Blue Eyes, for example. This would be very good to combine with Blue Eyes. If it has a good on-summon skill, this would be a good card. So yeah, I actually think this card is something we might see in a number of decks. Imperial Order. At the start of the battle phase, opponents cannot activate any spell cards until the end of the turn. So this is actually not being done in, to stop, in response to a spell card. It's just being done at the beginning of the battle phase. So the opponents don't actually lose the spell cards. However, you can play this on a key turn, where you don't want your opponent to actually play any spells which are going to mess things up. I think the annoying thing about this card is you have no idea how effective it's going to be. This card could win you the game. This card could just stop the opponent from doing everything they wanted to do, or it could make no difference whatsoever. I think it's still good though, right? I can definitely imagine you play this on a turn that you play Firewall Dragon, for example, the one that bounces a card back. Then you're basically guaranteed, or not guaranteed, but you're more likely to get that damage in. It's only traps that stop them at that point. Also, XYZ Dragon Cannon, summon it with hyperspeed, you throw this down on the turn that you do it, and your opponent basically can't respond to it with anything but traps. So yeah, I can definitely see this being played in those kind of decks. Elemental Hero Neos potentially as well. Skill Drain. At the start of the battle phase, apply negation to the immunity skills of all your opponent's monsters. And this is a super rare? Okay, you know what? Immunity against destruction effects. That could be a thing. I don't think this one's going to get played at the moment. Again, it's like cards like these where it's just like, is it worth a slot in your deck? Is it worth a slot over something else which is going to do something more? And the answer is probably not. But if the meta does become to the point where you just can't take out monsters because they, your opponent's negating, making them immune from skills, or say your opponent has summoned, the Earthbound Immortal card that just came out and makes it immune to destruction. There is this card. Problem is, I think it puts you a bit too much behind. I think it's a card which, look, you put this in your deck, it may not be useful whatsoever, and I think that's the big problem behind it. Yeah, I don't see it being played at the moment. If the meta changes, though, then maybe. Right, and now we're on to Gateway Dragon. So this does have link arrows. It is a 1600, which is cool. It has dark power, so we're getting more Yami terrain as well. But I think just a 1600 with link arrows is pretty good. Sniffer Dragon. Stats are crap. Oh, I forgot to have a look at this one. Yeah, this one's a dragon as well. So we're getting a lot of dragons in this one. I wonder if we're going to get any kind of dragon synergy cards going ahead in the future. Oh, we're getting another double material. Okay, this instantly makes this card good. It is the worst of the double material cards in terms of stats, but just having a third double material card just makes it so that you can play, you can play these decks with more monsters, like more level 7, 8 monsters in that you just want to get out with these like one sacrifices. So yeah, I like this. This is pretty good. It does have link arrows as well, though I think its stats are kind of too poor to put in a link deck with link arrows. I think we'll see this one as a double material monster. Blast Sphere. Yeah, of course it would have Ignite, right? Immunity destruction effects. It has this. I think the main thing here is that this is a machine, and its stats are okay-ish. It's a machine, and it will go in your XYZ deck. Because there is a kind of a lack of good machines at the moment. I think you still keep all the monsters that give super speed. Maybe this just adds an Ignite. I think the main thing is that this is just another machine, and we've been missing other machines. So it would definitely be interesting to revisit the XYZ deck and see what we can make of it with these like new machines. Sky Striker Ace Ray. Oh, we're getting monsters with Radiant Power in this one, which is light terrain. 1500, and it has link arrows as well, which is good. I mean, it's decent stats. I'd have to see if it would fit into the link arrow deck. But again, another monster with Radiant Power is good for the light deck as well. Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. Select one Sky Striker maneuver Afterburners or maneuver Jamming Waves and add it to your hand. So you select one or the other. And they are select one monster. It gains attack buff ×2 until the end of the turn. So again, this helps out with Borreload. And Jamming Wave is defense buff ×2. Okay, I think this is definitely majoritively going to be used for attack buff. This is also 2 spell cards in 1 spell card, which is going to help out with the Sky Striker Link monster that we saw just now. But yeah, another one that helps Borreload. Would also help Utopia as well, and potentially some other cards. So yeah, quite like that one. Link Burst. Set a link monster or a monster with Link Arrow and one of your opponent's monsters and destroy them. I think this is actually very good. This isn't necessarily a 2-for-1, right? You don't need to use this on a Link monster that you have just summoned. You could use this on a Link monster that has just battled and has very low stats otherwise. So you can use it like this, but also, just being able to simply destroy a monster, your opponent puts Stardust in the middle lane, Leviathan Dragon in the middle lane, for example. Just being able to destroy a monster from a strategy like that is really, really powerful. And also, if you are attacking, say you have Borreload that is about to attack your opponent's monster, you just destroy it. This is just a Blue Eyes, effect that just destroys their defense monster and gets you life points. This card is actually fantastic, I think, for Link decks, obviously, because you have to have in Link monsters in. I think this card is actually so good you would consider putting in, potentially putting in some Link monsters into your deck just to combine with this. Probably wouldn't, because you would have to draw both. But yeah, very, very good. I'm probably going to play a Link deck after some of these cards. Set up to 2 of your monsters. They gain Inventor and activate their Inventor effects. Oh, okay. That's cool. Now, I wonder if a monster already has Inventor, if you could then give it Inventor. But I think what I'm thinking is, take Power Tool Dragon, for example. If you have 2 of the ability where, every ability it gains 200 attack and defense, this is, if you're playing an Inventor deck, this is an extra 1200 attack and defense on your Power Tool. Not to mention, it's going to get... Oh, no, it is up to 2 monsters. Okay. Yeah, okay. No, wait, yeah, isn't it? It is an extra, because it's 600 per thing. Your Power Tool has 2 things. Yeah, so it is an extra 1200 on your Power Tool. It gains 2 skills, and then it's an extra Inventor and 2 skills on another monster as well. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. I guess the big question would be, if you already have a monster with Inventor, can it then proc Inventor again? Now, it says they have to gain Inventor, so probably not, but I think it's worth a test to see. Cyverse Beacon. If you take damage, return up to 2 of your Link monsters with Link Arrow from your graveyard to your hand at random. Again, very, very good. Wow, really, really buffing up the Link deck. Yeah, very, very good card. 4 Link decks, obviously. If a level 4 or lower monster attacks you directly, return that monster to the hand. Be gone, knave. I remember playing this card back in like old school Yu-Gi-Oh days. Good against if someone is playing, you know, Zed Melt Tank Ace. Good against that. Apart from that, I think there are like other trap cards that you will probably want to play instead of this. Meteor Rain. Upon battling, when your monster battles a defense efficient monster, it's in the monster zone, your monster gains Pierce. Pretty good. It's basically like the Pierce spell cards, the one that gains Pierce. The advantage of this trap card over the spell card, however, is that if you have multiple monsters that all battle a defense monster at the same time, all of them will get Pierce. So I feel like this is a little better than the spell card that gives Pierce, because the spell card is only going to be able to give it to one monster. This is potentially going to be able to give it to multiple monsters. And that's it. So yeah, we didn't get a kind of super synergistic, you know, like a bunch of cards that you have to play Grass Train, have to play Light Train this time. But we just got a big buff, basically, to Link monsters, to Inventor decks, machine decks as well, and a little bit on the spell decks as well. We just got like a bunch of good cards that fit into a lot of already existing decks, and that actually makes me really excited to try out these decks and see what we get. Right, now I do have enough gems for 2 times 10 pulls, so let's see what we get. I honestly, I would love free power tools. I would also love Borreload. Yeah, and of course I get nothing in my first 10 pulls. Alright, let's just skip this. 1 new card. Wow. I think the big problem, right, with them just continuously adding these cards to, you know, to these packs where they have everything else, is they become harder and harder to get, right? It's like, if we look at the percentage, it is 0.75. I think that is around about the same as it was for other ones, but yeah. Alright, let's see what we get with our second set of pulls. Okay, super rare. Ultra? Nah. We got Link Burst and Meteor Rain. And our super rare is Duel Dragon. Yay, not even one of the new ones. Is this the experience that everyone else has? I swear. So I've just done the little tutorials that they have for the new monsters. And yeah, I'm probably phased over this a little bit when I was talking about Borreload, but it does gain all of the destroyed monsters' common skills. So it is not only buffing up its attack by, you know, by having Equip as one of its skills, but it's also gaining additional skills as well. And, you know, sometimes I think those skills can be very good, and sometimes they can be kind of pretty negligible. But yeah, I don't think Borreload is a bad card. But yeah, I think it's a card that you're definitely going to put in your Link deck, if only because it's like a 3000 attack power monster that is, you know, Link 4. And, you know, even as like a special monster, it's not terrible. I think Blue Eyes is still better as a special. But yeah, no. Decent cards this time all around. Definitely looking forward to playing them. Anyway, let me know what you thought about the new cards in the comments below. Definitely looking forward to trying some decks out, and maybe this month I will actually have time to do some deck videos for some of these new decks. Thanks very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more cross-field content, and I will see you on the ladder.